looking like. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I've gotten over the part where where I like feel pain after doing VR, and now I'm just kind of tired all the time. Kinda nice. Well, granted, I'm always tired, so I'm more tired than usual.
How sore are you?
Not that sore anymore, actually. A little bit, but not terribly.
I did Beat Saber like a day or two ago, and my muscles are still sore.
So yeah, today is going to be the start of what I would describe as a terrible two-parter, purely for alliteration's sake, because we're going to be doing this is the longest chapter in Umineko, apparently.
Oh wait.
So wait, are the last three parts have short chapters, or?
Well, just like the Answers arc in general, the chapters are like a lot more condensed. Like we're back to being able to pump out like two in a session, but like this particular chapter is fucking long.
Yeah.
Like the whole episode 5 is actually relatively short, but like this chapter specifically is like jeez.
Okay, here's your hug.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was playing something. I would explain more about the holdup, but it might be a spoil, so I'll DM it to Orange, who I know knows.
Iggy!
About what?
Iggy?
Near.
Is this it's a
You mean Eggsy?
Ah, you beetroot, be icky. Nice. Have fun doing the rest of them.
I'm gonna do this here. Nice to play background.
Alright. That's enough Philistine for one day.
That's
Let's just get right in
Let's see all
to the cries and when they and the whatnot.
And when they cry.
uh,
The cries of Rendy's cat.
Welcome everybody to church/court.
So we're going to clown church?
Actually,
Can
we're
I-
going to Witch Court. Thank you very much.
Can I point something out about the background? Is that in the original release, Ryukishi just took a picture of like a fucking regular ass cathedral, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of just weirdly color selected, or maybe like even magic tooled around certain areas, cut them out and put a purple background, and it looks like parts of the fucking image were just shittily chopped off.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He's doing his best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it needs to be perfect. It's just a little.
Oh wait, you have the stream open. I can get in there and see things.
So here, rather than doing it at the end like I always do, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and do the shilling at the beginning of the videos to see if that helps out a little bit. So anyways, yeah, like, comment, whatever the fuck, please. I appreciate
the phrase I hate.
I appreciate every number you give me. Other than
Comment.
Vegosaurus.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Anyways, this episode of Umineko is brought to you by Witch Court. You're presiding in front of Honorable Judge Lambda Delta. Let's go.
here, actually,
man.
the Law and Order
Yeah.
noise will the Law and Orders get copyright struck? Probably not.
Most
I don't
likely.
think so.
Most
Oh, wow.
likely.
It's very short.
Ta-dum.
We're using it in parody, so it's fine.
Very
The
This
robots
episode
don't know.
of Umineko is also sponsored by the fine doctors at Caduceus, including a sizable donation by Dr. Cranberries Hoffman.
What?
Shelly, I fucking love you, man.
Love it too.
Cranberries.
Anyways,
Cranberries to my salad lines.
what does this have to do with Umineko?
They're laughing. Just give them a second.
All the pieces
It
from the
really
game,
does.
all the pieces from the game board were gathered. All the humans, furniture, witches, and the witches on an even higher level had gathered in one place. That place was like a solemn cathedral with an unbelievably high ceiling. White stonework, golden ornaments. Though there were windows, there were no entrances or exits. Though there were windows, there were no entrances or exits. It was a strange, strange place. But for some reason, no one wondered where the strange place was, because they were not given the right to think of this place as strange.
The pieces. Have they all been gathered? Please
Wait,
appear
yeah,
for my
that's
fucking
me, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still is. Yep.
Yes, they have. I have to figure out a voice for her. What do you want me to do?
Just wing
change it
it.
like every single time I play her.
Do Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Just wing
No.
it.
Yes,
shut
they
up.
have.
Just do your British voice that you were trying to do.
Okay.
Well done.
What the fuck? I just didn't even invite us somewhere, Joshy. Ignore that.
What a show. I wonder just how many people there are here.
No matter how many we see, every being outside the 18 is a phantom. Making you acknowledge them is what my game's all about.
The three witches were seated on special thrones set upon a very high balcony. In the center sat the Game Master, Lambda Delta. On the other side of the semicircular balcony sat Berncastle and Beatrice, facing each other. Below them, Erica ran forward, lifted the corners of her skirt, and bowed respectfully. Great Lady Lambda Delta, we thank you for granting our request for an assembly. And Great Lady Berncastle, my master, please look forward to it. Though it may only be for a short while, I will most certainly make my master forget about the poison that torments her.
Yes, I am looking forward to it. I'd expect no less from my double. My peace.
Erica and Burncastle exchanged cruel smiles that didn't make anyone want to avert their gaze.
Listen up, witches and humans. I hereby announce that this is the assembly of witches gathered. The Court of Illusions will now begin.
The commander of the game spoke with words of power. The words were spoken within such a vast space, they rang out with the force of a bell in a bell tower.
Your lives and roles as they correspond to this game are over. The 5th game is now closed, and the midnight answer session shall begin. Well, I'd like to get started quickly, but why don't we have everyone quickly introduce themselves first? After all, there are so many people here. I am Lambda Delta, the Witch of Certainty, and the new commander of this game.
Burncastle, Witch of Miracles. My goal is to penetrate Beatrice's illusion of the witch.
I am the Endless Witch Beatrice. My goals are to claim my own existence and protect Natsuhi and Kinzo.
Butler-sama, you come next in rank.
I'm a battler. Fighting against Beato. No. Against the witches. That's all.
As I believe you know, you joined in on this game partway through. At the time this assembly of witches opens, you have yet to participate. Do you understand?
I get it. Probably I don't have the right to speak for a while, right?
Thank you for understanding. How was that?
Fine. Even though Balor held a rank near that of witches, he sat on the foremost of the benches shared with the other relatives, all by himself at one end. He met the gaze of Beato, who was up on the balcony.
You might have said you were my archenemy.
Well, he wasn't necessarily my only enemy.
Let's take this game back. It belongs to us.
Yeah. I almost said I was fighting against Beato's illusion of the witch. At the beginning, Beato has been my only enemy. But right now, Erica and those witches who started toying around with Beato's tail are also my enemies. Who should I fight and how? Maybe it's a good thing I don't have the right to speak for a while. I'll calm down and coolly watch over everything. I am the detective and the one who called for this assembly of witches, Thurudo Erica. I will expose the culprit of the 5th game and stick a charming period on the end of this tale. Erica greeted the witches above her and the humans behind her once again.
I'm also looking forward to it. Okay, remaining pieces, introduce yourselves in whatever order.
Humans! Introduce yourself, all of you!
When 45 urged him to introduce himself, Kinzo stood up. I'm Mushurmiya Kinzo. I'm out of the study window and I'm hiding somewhere on Rokinjima.
Ushiromiro Kraus. Currently, I've been captured and am being confined somewhere.
I'm Ushiromiya Ava. I'm alive.
I'm Rudolph. The rest of us are all Ushiromiyas too, so I'll leave off the family name.
I'm Rosa. I was killed on the first twilight.
Jessica, I also died on the first twilight.
I'm George. I also died on the first twilight.
Maria! I died, but look, I'm here talking! See? Dying isn't a big deal, right?
I'm Shuriman Natsuhi. I am alive.
Hideyoshi here. I was killed just a short while ago.
Kyrie. I'm still alive.
No, Joe. I'm also hanging in there.
My name is Genji. I passed away on the first twilight.
I'm Shannon. I'm still alive.
I am Canon. I am also alive. I'm Yoda. Pleased to meet you, everyone.
I am Kumazawa. Pleased to meet you. Cranberries. Alright, last time, I promise. Last time, I promised.
Please stop making Game Grumps references. None of that shit. No more.
No on to the witches, yeah? Everyone open your tails.
I mean, at this point, I'm just doing it because Khan loves it so much.
How long was this again?
No. Virgilia's group could also be seen. Like the floor Beato's group was on, the second floor had a balcony that looked like a raised audience seating. And they sat there looking down as though they were at a theater.
My name is Virgilia. I am Beatrice's teacher.
I'm Gap. Begging corpse disappears my job.
None of it. I am in charge of making black tea. I greet you in the name of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. I serve in the murder of Hideyoshi on the second twilight. Seven Sisters of Purgatory, right here.
Right here.
Oh, shit, I was touching.
Yeah, what they said.
I'm also here.
Sorry, was chewing out a pretzel. Let us then have Lady Erika's furniture introduce themselves.
Gertrude. I am an assistant inquisitor of heresy.
Cornelia. I'm an assistant inquisitor of heresy.
The two of them can also be seen on the second floor audience seating. It's set apart from Virgilia's group. Then Delanor, who was seated between the two, slowly stood up. She had a presence and dignity about her, as though she was overseeing everything from that place.
Eleanor A. Knox is my name. I am Lady Erika's primary assistant. Battler. I expect much from you. Please don't disappoint me.
Let's just both give it all we've got.
Most of the time, there will be no need for Delanor to step forward. However, when the witch side plays around with ugly word games, I'll need to have Delanor convict them. A miracle like the one in the study won't happen again.
And finally, let us introduce ourselves. We are the Chester Sisters, Imperial Guard, who have been tasked with management for proceedings at this assembly of witches.
Hello, everyone.
Alright, is he there?
Ooh.
This ends the introduction of all pieces. A total of 38 people are present here. Sorry, I was once again chewing on a pretzel and did not want to
There are
talk.
38
Yeah,
characters in the
understandable.
5th game. If you added all the pieces from previous games too, it would probably rise even higher. This game, which has so often been likened to chess, now has far more pieces than a chessboard.
Very well. Then I guess we'll get started. Let the person who called this meeting begin. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Goat. Refill my drink.
Yes, ma'am.
And some popcorn for me.
Right away.
Yeah, that's right. The one who decided demons ought to eat popcorn when watching a play was you, after all.
Yes, I intend to enjoy this. And I could get some black tea and mustard miso. Erica, begin. I'm already starting to get bored.
Yes, my master! Leave it to me! Order! Silence!
The sound of her voice, the Chester Sisters Corps straightened up, lifted their right knee and stamped down hard on the floor with their heels. It became a low, deep rumble in the ground, and all chatter in the cathedral disappeared instantly. As their eyes and expressions became even more hollow and empty, the room fell back into silence, almost as though they were a collection of wax models. Amidst this heavy silence, there was a sound of footsteps. As Erica walked out into the center, where she could catch everyone's attention. When she signaled with her chin, a goat attendant appeared from behind a pillar, and carried a single plain chair out into the front and center of the room. It must have been the defendant's chair.
I, Ferido Erica, will make an accusation. The murderer of the 5th game is... Shirimiya Natsuhi-san. You are the culprit.
Erica pointed at Natsuhi and spoke. The Natsuhi wax all alone shook and regained its expression. It was an expression of panic.
Jester Sisters, please take the defendant to her chair.
Understood.
Wait, what are you doing? Let go of me!
45 and 410 both pinned Natsuhi's arms behind her back, and led her to the chair in the center. Natsuhi resisted, but the Chester Sisters were surprisingly strong, and she couldn't do anything. She turned to the relatives for help, but they just remained silent like wax models.
Ferido Erica, will I reconstruct why the crime was only possible for Shirimiya Natsuhi?
Beato. Of course you'll be challenging this, right?
Naturally. I am the Ushirimiya family alchemist, Beatrice the Golden. Ferido Erica, I challenge you. I'll take these false accusations you're trying to place on my master and tear them apart.
Beatrice!
Fear not, Natsuhi. You are my master. And you are the true head with the one-winged eagle engraved in your heart. Do not fear a crime you have not committed.
At those words, Natsuhi jerked back and gulped. Her panic finally disappeared, and she stood up straight.
That's true. I am Ushimiya Natsuhi. I will confront any challenge that would disgrace the Ushimiya family.
How can you try a bluff like that in a situation like this? You really are the bullied kid in every single fragment.
So, Burn, make your claims.
I, Burnt Costello, claim that a human, Yushiromiya Natsuhi, is the culprit of this game.
And you too, Beato, okay?
I, Beatrice, claim that the culprit in this game is not human. I am the culprit.
Berncastle, who smiled daringly, and Beatrice, who smiled firmly, crossed gazes.
Listen, witches and humans. Two claims have appeared for a single truth. Is the culprit a human, Ushirimiya Natsuhi? Is the culprit a witch, Beatrice? If the witch wins, the truth about the fifth game will disappear into darkness. If Erica wins, the illusion of the witch will be wiped from the game board. In other words, for Beato alone, this is a battle that must not be lost. Are you prepared?
And what am I supposed to be preparing myself for? This has always been just what I wanted.
If Erica wins, the illusion of the witch will be destroyed. That means the illusions of the witch will be denied. Beata was fighting for her life. Well, this was the only time she had been fighting for her life.
Me too.
It had always been a life-or-death struggle, even when she fought with Battler. Because if Battler had won and destroyed the illusion of the witch in previous games, Beata would have been destroyed. That's dirty. Erica has something to lose if she fails.
I wonder. Lady Berncastle is not a compassionate person. I can't imagine she'd give warm treatment to a piece that didn't perform to her expectations.
It was inconceivable that the ruthless Berncastle would place no blame at all on a piece who had suffered defeat. Erica's probably fighting for her life just as much. The two claims would clash and one would be weeded out. One would fall and would not leave this place alive. The only ones who truly had nothing to lose were those witches.
Okay, no problems. Get started.
In that case, I would like to go first. The murder of Hideyoshi-san is very simple. It should be impossible to suspect anyone other than Natsuhi-san. Except for the victim and Natsuhi-san, all of us were in the same room, correct?
It really was simple. Except for Natsuhi, everyone had been inside the parlor. And because it was so simple, it was decisive.
No matter how you look at it, the one who killed Hideyoshi was Natsuhi. No, it's the other way around. No matter how you look at it, no one except for Natsuhi could have killed Hideyoshi. There's no room for discussion or debate.
I'm telling you, that's a mistake. Maybe I don't have an alibi. However, I don't believe a lack of an alibi proves that one is the culprit.
We know that Natsuhi is the only one without an alibi. But wait. The scene of the murder was a closed room. It should have been impossible for anyone, including Natsuhi, to have committed the crime in that room. Except for me, since I could have done it with magic.
I'll explain the closed room trick, the how done it, later. For the time being, I'll start with the who done it. Because of the aforementioned, it's impossible to suspect any character except Natsuhi-san regarding the murder of Hideyoshi-san.
Milady, it may be dangerous to press any further on this.
I agree. It's the fact that Natsuhi was hiding in the closet of Hideyoshi's room. Comes to repeating things in red, they'll check to see who was in the room, and you'll be cornered.
Probably. Lady Lambda Delta is the commander of this game. If it suits her fancy, she'll set up Natsuhi's the culprit regardless of the facts.
If the typhoon passes and the police come to perform a scientific investigation, perhaps the true culprit will be identified, and the false accusations against Natsuhi will be lifted. However, in this closed-off Rokonjima, the police will not arrive for all eternity. In other words, the real truth will not be revealed. Inside this cat box that will never be opened, false charges that everyone accepts are worth no more or less than the truth.
Their aim is most likely to use the simple murder of Hideyoshi to give the impression that Natsui-sama is the culprit. Before moving on to the first Twilight's reconstruction, which has more uncertain elements.
It's not good at all to move forward with a game master suspecting none. You should take the initiative.
Sure. Lady Lambda Delta. As you are well aware, a fair number of murders were committed during the 5th game. And we are skipping a rather lengthy chunk of time from midnight until the early morning. Skipping to Hideyoshi's murder and stepping backwards and forwards in time will only lead to confusion. It is my belief that we should follow events chronologically and in order, though the decision is yours, of course.
Objection. In the process of prosecuting the culprit, chronological order has no significance.
Objection!
I've always wanted to yell that.
Further, Erica is trying to mix up the chronological sequence in order to create a false impression of the events.
Well, I'm not a fan of confusing things myself. I accept Beato's claim. Erica, start with the first Twilight instead of jumping to the second.
I definitely saw Erica click her tongue. I understand. This is the way of telling Rokonjima's tale. I was guided by Virgilia, met Beatrice, reached the peak from which you can see everything below you, and finally understood the truth of this world. This is the thing you were talking about earlier, Virgilia.
Yes, that's right. Truth is very fragile in this place.
As long as each side makes its own claim, different truths can exist at the same time. Yes. This really is a trial. Both sides put forward their own truths. This here truly is the Brawn Tube trial that Virgilia once used as an analogy.
I will follow Lady Lambda Delta's orders and start from the first crime at the first Twilight. As you know, at midnight on October 4th, the first day, following a short break in the family conference, Natsui left on her own, saying that she was going to bed early. Therefore, her alibi is completely lost from that time until the next morning.
That's new.
Oh, is that so? I believe there are several people besides Natsuhi who have dubious alibis. Unless you can clear suspicion from all of them, I cannot allow you to call Natsuhi the culprit.
Holy shit, do we have to read all
Think
this?
about this, won't
Should I
you?
screenshot
Thank you.
this?
We will be going through every single one of these points throughout the course of this event.
Alright.
Oh, thank fuck, we'll actually go through it.
True. If Erica's gonna call Nazi suspicious so confidently, she's gotta show that everyone else has an alibi. Right, Bern?
Yes, of course. Erica will explain that perfectly.
I see.
Of course, my master. In that case, I'd like to explain things in order. Let's forget about Genji's murder for now and focus on the crime in the guest house. For this case, you'd like to suspect the servants who were in the guest house, right? On that night, Goda-san and Kumasawa-san were there. Isn't that right, you two?
It shouldn't have faced the direction where those two were seated. Those two wax models alone came back to life. They probably weren't even granted souls until they were allowed to speak. In that case, it would have been better if Natsuhi's soul could have disappeared as well. Natsuhi, who was in the defendant's chair, kept her soul the whole time, and was constantly hanging her head, looking nervous. Goda hurried to his feet and answered Eric's question.
Yes, that's correct. On that evening, I was alone in the guest house servant room.
Well, look at my age. Staying up all night would be a heavy burden. So I returned to the waiting room in the guest house and went to bed right away on my own. Yes.
Doesn't that mean Goda and Kumasawa have lost their alibis? Kumasawa claimed that she was sleeping alone in the waiting room. Goda claims he was alone in the servant room. Either of them should have had enough time to go to the cousin room and commit murder.
Nonsense! Why would we do something like that?
Quiet, Goda.
That's right. How could I ever kill someone?
Natsuhi said it all. Both Kumasawa, who was asleep alone in the waiting room, and Goda, who was alone in the servant room, are in the exact same situation as Natsuhi in her room. Both of them have lost their alibis.
Have no fear. I guarantee that neither of these two are the murderers. First off, following dinner, Kumasawa-san left the mansion with me and the others and went to the guest house, into the waiting room, and slept until morning. It's the same for Goda-san. Once he finished with his job, he chatted with us in the lounge and went to sleep afterwards. Neither of them had the opportunity to commit murder.
So we're finally here. I see it's time for me to stand up as well. Your turn is over already, Erica. Go summon that bodyguard you rely on so much.
Beato glanced at where Delanor sat on the second floor audience seating. However, Delanor just stared back at with those usual expressionless eyes.
Repeat it. We have absolute proof of Goda and Kumasawa's alibis.
We refuse. Why give a hint to an enemy? There's no way we'd answer.
Aha! Did you hear that, Lady Lambda Delta? They say they have no proof. How could they claim that Goda and Kumasawa have alibis without proof?
Good point. What do you say, Burn? Erica? How can you claim that Goda and Kumasawa have alibis?
Fall back, Erica. My opponent is Dillinor over there. A mere human like you can be no match for a witch!
No. There's no need for Delanor to step forwards. In fact, it's precisely because a mere human will defeat a witch that the illusion of the witch will now be denied. So go ahead. Use the red and blue as much as you like. I'm ready for it, okay?
In response to Erica's challenge, Beato smiled boldly, yet gracefully, and slowly stood up. And they glared at each other between the floor and the balcony.
Goda and Kumasawas have no alibis. The two of them were in the guest house and could have reached the cousin's room to commit murder at any time. Unless you can eliminate that possibility, you cannot treat Natsuhi as the culprit.
Beato's blue truth struck out rapidly. The curtain had finally dropped and the battle had begun. A human like Erica can't use any red. How could you turn this around without calling on Dillinor?
Though Erica cannot use it to, no Master Lady Burncastle can. We mustn't let our guards down.
Blue truth valid. What do you do, Burn? Will you or Dillinor step in instead? It is still not my turn. And it is not Lady Birkenstell's turn either.
Yes, that's right. There's no need for us to show up for something like this. This is important precisely because a mere human like Furudo Erika will defeat you, Beato. Because you'll be defeated by a human, we'll know. We'll all know that the fake witch who calls herself Beatrice the Golden is nothing more than a subhuman phantom.
If you could really do that, it'd be totally entertaining. Very well, Erica. Let's see what you've got.
Explaining it for the first person, Kumasawa-san, is extremely simple. Kumasawa-san, stand!
Yes.
Kumasawa-san, from the time you went to bed last night to the time you were informed about the crime in the morning, did you ever leave the waiting room?
No. I was sound asleep until morning. I really was.
The truth is, after dinner last night I had a chat with Ava-san and she told me something very interesting. I heard that out myself.
And what exactly is that? You don't mean...
That's right. It's what cornered and sealed Kinzo in his study. Well, you can create a seal by putting something between a door and the frame.
Are you kidding? Did you actually do that to Kumasawa-san's waiting room?
Erica was in the guest house, so there's no obstacle to her having been capable of that.
After all, it was an unsettling night, and a massive amount of gold had just been discovered. Many sorts of crimes might have occurred. Where there is a detective, there will be a crime. I foresaw that some kind of crime would take place, either to seal away people whose alibis might otherwise be lost.
Erica held a small, folded piece of brown paper high in the air.
After I watched Kumasawa-san, who returned to the guest house, with me, say goodnight and enter the waiting room, I used this to seal the door. Then in the morning, when the crimes was discovered and caused a big uproar, I immediately went to check Kumasawa-san's waiting room, where I confirmed that the seal was still set. Therefore, I can prove Kumasawa-san's alibi.
Ooh, guacamole on rye.
So she just disproved one of those theories, then?
Mm-hmm. She did.
Yeah.
Good. A wonderful alibi. Not a single gap. Kumasawa returned to the guest house with Erika, went to the waiting room to sleep, and never left the room until morning. In other words, after Kumasawa returned to the guest house, she never went to the second floor until morning.
The proof Erica had shown was elevated by Berncastle and became red truth. The truth, which had become red, could no longer be overturned, even by Beado. In other words, in that instant, Kumasawa's perfect alibi had been absolutely guaranteed.
Ho-ho! Then what about Goda?
What about Goda?
Goda-san holed up in the servant room right after reaching the guest house. I sealed him up in the same way. Then when Rosa-san returned at 1 a.m., I happened to notice her when I stepped out into the corridor. I let Goda-san, who was still in the servant room, know this. At that moment, the seal was still in place, so from the time we arrived at the guest house until 1 a.m., Goda-san never left the servant room. And afterwards, he was with me in the lounge till 3 a.m. But at 3 a.m., I was on the second floor. So I guarantee that Goda-san didn't come up to the second floor.
Erika's seal proves that Goda was holed up in the servant room until 1 a.m. And Erika has proven his alibi from then until 3 a.m. since she was passing the time with the lounge with him. And Erika has also proven that he never set foot on the second floor until the morning after. In other words, after Goda returned to the guest house, he never went up to the second floor until morning.
Red truth valid. Well done, Erika. The alibi due to your seal at the door has been acknowledged. The alibi due to your seal on that door has been acknowledged by Byrne and elevated to the status of red truth.
Thank you very much, my master. I'm the detective. I may be human, but I can use the red truth despite that and surpass humans.
So now you claim to have surpassed humans. It is 1,000 years too early for you to talk like that, conceited brat!
It'll be a pain to have you try anything funny, so I'll make this clear now. In fact, I should have done this in the beginning. I apologize for being so roundabout. This is the situation around the guest house at midnight. Gold was found, an emergency family meeting was called for, and Battler-san went to the mansion with the relatives. I, the three cousins, Dr. Nanjo, Goda-san, and Kumasawa-san, remained in the guest house. I've already explained Goda-san and Kumasawa-san's alibis. George-san, Jessica-san, Maria-san were all playing cards in the cousins' room. I actually joined them for just a little bit, and I clearly witnessed that they were alive in that time. My master, I ask that you repeat this.
Yes, I'll respond. At midnight in the guest house, George, Jessica, and Maria were alive. And they were in the second floor cousin's room. Najo, Goda, and Kumasawa were on the first floor. And since there's no need to hold off on it anymore, I'll confirm that all the victims so far are dead. George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, and Genji. These 5 really are dead. How could they be playing dead with their necks sliced open like that? Man, these white screens are starting to fuck with me!
Thanks for repeating that, my master. If we hadn't made these things clear, you might have started going on about how they were already dead before I guaranteed everyone's alibis. But they weren't actually dead at all.
Unsurprisingly, Beato's side couldn't get away with the simple plan of claiming the victims were only playing dead. But in order to overcome Goda and Kumasawa's alibis, it should have been possible to suppose that the crime occurred before those doors were sealed. However, the opponent had predicted this move perfectly. It had been shown and read that the crime did not occur before the time period covered by Erika's alibis.
Got it. That's the last time the victims were confirmed to be alive. I wish you had said that in the beginning. This means we can ignore everything that's happened before midnight.
To go even further, at midnight, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji were in a corridor on the second floor of the mansion. All the remaining people were at the family conference in the dining hall. Of course, at that point in time, no murder had occurred. Genji was also alive.
This isn't something Erika observed. But we can't move the game forward without settling it. Very well, I'll acknowledge that red truth.
Thank you very much for that red truth, my master.
Since Erika had been in the guest house, it's only natural that she could explain the situation there. However, since she hadn't been in the mansion at the time, explaining the situation over there would have been extremely difficult for her. Beato would normally have attacked there with the blue truth, saying that the people in the dining hall had all agreed to keep to the same story. If someone had snuck out of the dining hall, they might have committed murder in the guest house. However, because Byrne had instantly settled that matter with the red text, Beato had completely lost her chance to strike back.
Damn it.
Very troublesome. Do you think we would be put at such a disadvantage?
It's almost the exact opposite of Rinshin's fact with Badlow.
In fact, the situation might be even worse than it was back then.
At a glance, the fight between the two of them resembled our previous fights. However, there were some vital differences. The first was whether or not Beato was the Game Master. The Beato who fought against me was the Game Master, so she knew all the truth. That's how she was able to use the red text at will. But the current Beato isn't the Game Master. There's a single piece on the game board. In other words, even Beato doesn't know the truth. You could say that Beato is now in the same position that I once was. Also, though Erika may seem to be in the same position I once was, situation for her is totally different. She's connected to the witch called Burncastle. Even though she isn't the Game Master, she's capable of elevating Erica's statements to become red. Because this Erica can use the red truth, even though she's neither a witch nor the Game Master. Theodo, who's supposed to be the witch, possesses no truth nor red she can use. Yet the detective, Erica, can use the red truth. The advantage is completely flipped over to the other side. As you can say that the current Beato is in a much worse position than I was when I fought with her. As I got used to the game, Beato stopped responding to my demands that she use the red. But in the beginning, she had responded to almost all of them, giving me quite a few hints. We were able to fight on par. However, Burncastle is different. Billy understands the rules of this game. I heard to corner Beato without even a hint of restraint. And because of this, I knew. In the past, Beato went easy on me so that we could fight on par with each other.
This has become quite an amusing fight. I see. So I must fight from the position Battler once stood in.
You know.
In the past, I've insulted you and called you incompetent. I can handle much, much worse than this.
It's now impossible to suspect Goda-san and Kumasawa. You can't win by arguing that point any longer.
Yes. Let's switch to a different approach.
The next line would probably be Nanjo. He was also in the guest house.
Nanjo's in the lounge with Erica. However, I believe the time period before and after that had been left open.
That's right. I'll strike there. Nanjo. You were relaxing in the first floor lounge of the guest house with Erica and Goda, correct?
Yes. I was with Erica-san the whole time.
And during what time was this?
From 1 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Yes, that's right. It was the period between 1 and 3 o'clock. Dr. Nanjo, Goda-san and I were relaxing in the lounge. Repeat it, my master!
I'll respond. From 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., the trio of Erica, Nanjo, and Goda spent their time in the lounge on the first floor of the guest house.
Though she had flat out refused to repeat what Beato had told her to, she responded to Erica's demand immediately. Red Truth is starting to corner Beato. She grimaced as though in pain. She still struck back with the blue truth. No. She really was in pain. Now that the characters apart from Natsui have their alibis established, the illusion of the witch was also being denied. Receive the denial of her existence as pain.
Even so, you shouldn't have an alibi for the time period before and after you were in the lounge. It was possible for Nanjo to commit the crime too.
That's right. I get that Nanjo was in the lounge with Erica from 1 to 3, but what about before and after that? What about that, Erica?
Yes. First the alibi from before 1 a.m. This is no problem at all. I played cards with the cousins in the room until midnight. And I went downstairs to the lounge where I met Dr. Nanjo.
That's right. At midnight, I met Erica-san after she came down the stairs and spoke with her, learning that she was quite the connoisseur of the mystery genre. I realize that I found a kindred spirit.
We went to the library to solve the epitaph's riddle. Noticed there were several original copies of famous foreign mystery novels stored there. I wanted to discuss them with the actual books in hand. Went to the library and we're talking the whole time. Constantly, until we moved to the lounge.
Crammed though it was, that book storage room in the guest house was stocked well enough that it was fair to call it a small library. In it were several famous foreign mystery novels that Kinzo had once taken a liking to. Of course, they were all originals and in English, but English was no problem for either Erica or Nanjo. On this occasion, they had borrowed the key to the library one more time from Goda in the servant room. At that point, Erica checked the seal again, and of course, reset it. Damn her. Even if she keeps it sealed for anyone else to enter or leave, she alone enters and leaves whenever she wants.
I see. So, from midnight until 3 a.m., when you went to sleep, you were with Nanjo the whole time? That means Nanjo's alibi is the most rock solid of them all.
Yes, that's it exactly. My master, repeat it!
Sorry. I'll respond. After midnight, Erica was with Nanjo the whole time until 3 a.m.
At midnight, the crime in the cousin's room still hadn't occurred. So this way, an alibi had been established for the period before the time they were in the lounge.
After we walked out of the library and into the hallway at 1 o'clock. When we did it, we just happened to bump into Rosa-san as she returned. I then told Goda-san about that. I figured it was probably a servant's responsibility to welcome in a guest.
Asked if he should bring a towel, but Rosa refused. We headed up to the second floor. At this point, Erica, Goda, and Nanjo gathered together and decided to have a drink. Their alibis in the lounge up until 3 a.m. have already been proclaimed in red. There are no problems then.
Let's continue on to after 3 a.m. This is Dr. Nanjo's alibi we're after we split up. At 3 a.m., Battler-san returned and the people in the lounge went their separate ways. After Nanjo, Battler-san and I went up to the second floor. Then said goodbye. I then said goodnight to Dr. Nanjo. At this time, of course, I put a seal on the door to the doctor's room as well. And it went unchanged till the crime was discovered. I flew out of my room at the same time as Battler-san's scream. And checked to see that the door to Dr. Nanjo's room was still sealed. Therefore, Dr. Nanjo's alibi is perfect both before 1 and after 3 a.m.
Nanjo's alibi. Blah, 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 blah.
Splendid, Erica. Both your seal and your red truth are perfect. Nanjo had the alibi of being with Erica until 3 a.m. And he didn't leave his room after 3 a.m. until morning.
Erica made use of the seals on the doors, and was granted red truths from Burncastle one after another. Me demanding that Beata repeat something had always been about maneuvering and tactics. But it's totally different for Erica. For her, it's like having a trump card that can make red whenever she wants.
This concludes the proof of alibis for all suspects in the guest house. Any problems?
I do have a problem. And that problem is...
Beata racked her brains to find some point to latch onto, but Erica's red had been ruthlessly perfect. There was no point she could take issue with. Beata kept thinking hard, trying to fault Erica on something. But her expression was so wrought with desperation that anyone could tell by looking.
Beato's complaint is rejected. I can't sense any problems at all. It's totally pop, cute, and perfecto. Alibis for all humans in the guest house have now been proven.
Wait a sec, Erica. Shouldn't leave me out of this. Shimia Battler should have also had a chance to commit the crime. After all, I was in the same room as the victims all night. I'm not gonna let you slip past the part while ignoring me. Huh? That time, an arrow twisted like a golden snake and hit me. It didn't pierce through me, but it slapped me hard on the cheek like a whip.
Butler-sama, your right to speak has not yet been recognized. Be warned.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah, I understand, Battler. And my apologies. Forgive me. Erica! You still haven't shown an alibi for Battler. Battler is the man who was sleeping alongside the victims. Shouldn't he be placed under suspicion more than anyone else?
Beato's right. You can't go skipping Battler like that.
My apologies. I'd completely forgotten.
After Battler returned at 3 a.m., you went into the second floor with him. And I believe you also went to your own room and slept. You may have gone to the cousin's room at midnight, but I don't think you went there after 3 a.m. Will you now claim that you went to crawl into Battler's bed later on? Well, if you say you were looking at Battler's sleeping face all night long to confirm his alibi in the cousin room, then I'd accept it, right?
Yes! I listened to him breathing in his sleep all night long. Got a problem with that?
What? What?
Naruto Erica can prove that Battler-san returned to the cousin's room at 3 a.m. Then he went straight to bed afterwards, and then he went right to sleep. I can prove that until he woke up, noticed the gruesome situation the room was in, and let out a scream, nothing happened in that room. So you have no need to worry. Battler-san isn't the culprit. He's just the charming first discoverer who entered the murder scene without realizing it was one and slept until morning.
That's insane. It shouldn't be possible for you to prove that with those seals you love so much. How can you prove this?
That's ridiculous. That time I entered the room alone. I could probably went into her room, too. She did something like that as though she saw the whole thing.
She never said she saw it. The room Erica was assigned to, where was it located?
Erica, please tell me. How can you prove so much about Battler?
I'd expect no less from a true detective.
My room was right next to the cousin's room. There's only a single thin wall between them.
You don't mean... You put your ear against the wall to check what was happening in the cousin room?
Yes. My ears are perfect. After Battler-san entered the room, I put my ear against the wall and checked to make sure nothing strange happened.
You said you could prove that nothing happened until Battler let out a scream the next morning. You don't mean...
Yes. I put my ear against the wall and listened to that on that room until morning, without sleeping a wink.
Everyone was stunned into silence. She put her ear against the wall, and for the entire time until morning, listened to what was going on in Balor's room. So what would that have looked like? Held on, she had killed her breathing in a pitch-black room, clinging to the wall shared with the cousin's room, like some kind of creepy venomous spider, clinging to the wall of a darkened room. Berncastle alone was grinning in triumph.
Due to the progression of the game, I realized that Battler, the one who had received the head's ring, would be a key player. I was sure that Battler would be a victim of the first Twilight.
Yes. This is my master told me to do. Put my ear against the wall until morning without a wink of sleep, checking to make sure that nothing unusual happened.
Erica has a photographic memory, and her hearing abilities on par with a tape recorder. It would have been impossible for him to deceive Erica's ears, either to kill George and the others, or make those wounds on their throats.
It's an accepted power of the detective's authority. I have no choice but to acknowledge it. I'll confirm it in red. Ushirmiya Battler returned to the cousin's room at 3 a.m. and fell asleep. After that, until the discovery of the crime, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary happened in the room.
In other words, it was impossible for Battler to commit murder or damage the corpses.
The red from the pair forced Peter to show an expression of considerable anguish. It was only natural. Those red truths not only guaranteed Battler's alibi, but a number of other things as well. First off, it meant the murder was impossible for anyone after 3 a.m. The cousins were confirmed to be alive as late as midnight. The time period of the crime automatically became between midnight and 3 a.m. And the alibis for all people who weren't in the guest house before 3 a.m. have been guaranteed automatically. That one hurts. A lot.
After 24... Alright. After 24-0, Erica was in the guest house until the whole time.
Did you say midnight?
So, it would have been difficult for her to prove alibis for all the people in the mansion.
It should have been almost impossible to prove alibis for Ava and the others. But now all she has to do is prove that they never visited the guest house between midnight and 3 a.m. And she can prove those alibis.
Anyway, we'll have to construct it so the murders were possible before 3 a.m. And we have to prove that it was possible for one of the people in the mansion to do it.
People who had been in the guest house all had alibis. Crime didn't occur before midnight. Crime couldn't have occurred after 3 a.m. In other words, there's no way for the murders to happen unless someone from the mansion committed the crime between midnight and 3 a.m. In order to protect Natsuhi, she had to establish that it was possible for someone other than Natsuhi to commit the crime. Ironically, the witch had to prove that a human had committed the crime. Still, this is getting pretty difficult. At 3 a.m., Erika was in the lounge. You have to pass through there to reach the second floor. In other words, she's practically like a manager for the guest house's second floor.
This tactic may be a bit overused, but if it was possible for someone to go up to the second floor without Erika noticing, we should be able to prove that the crime was possible for anyone.
It's probably possible for a human to climb up to a second-story window if they really wanted to. Of course, Beat had also thought of striking back that way. Burkester must have thought of this as well.
Battler Nanjo Goda Kumasawa. We realized the crime was impossible for all these people in the guest house. However, what about the humans in the mansion?
As I have already said, and as my master has even proclaimed with the red truth, I was in the lounge on the first floor of the guest house. When I reached the second floor, one must pass through the lounge. In other words, it was impossible to reach the second floor without me seeing it.
And what if it wasn't impossible? For example, what if someone placed a ladder against the outer wall of the guest house and snuck in through a second-story window? There must be a way to reach the second floor without passing through the lounge. If this is the case, it would be impossible to reach the crime scene without you seeing it!
Beato finally struck back. Before now, she let Erika take total control and attack her with the red over and over. During that time, Beato's counterattacks with the blue truth had been few in number, even including this one.
Of course I knew you'd try saying that. I couldn't have my lookout in the lounge before lookout became meaningless. Blah, blah, blah. I couldn't have my lookout in the lounge become meaningless, so first I must prove that my lookout was perfect. First off, because of how the guest house is constructed, it's impossible to reach the second floor without me seeing it from the lounge. There are no places under cover, nor are there any physical or mental blind spots. My master, repeat it!
It is impossible for someone to reach the second floor of the guest house without anyone in the lounge noticing it. Though, of course, this only refers to reaching the second floor from inside the building.
Good, my master. Next to Lady Beatrice's theory that there might be a way to reach the second floor from the outside. This really is a problem. After all, there are trees that could probably be climbed, and someone could have used a ladder. Even crawling up the rain gutter can't be ruled out as impossible. I can't let you do that.
Oh, you won't let me. And how's that? Did you stay up all night circling the guest house? No, you couldn't do that. You were in the lounge. From the lounge, you can only see a small part of the outer perimeter through the window.
That's true. I couldn't prevent all methods of climbing up to the second floor from the outside. However, I was able to prevent all entry to the second floor.
Prevent entry?
What, did she glue the window shut?
I had already foreseen this move. How terrifying that she would be so persistent.
Because of how the guest house is constructed, the windows are the only method of entry from outside to the second floor. The locks, not important at all. I want to prove that none of the windows or shutters were opened even once. When it's the location of the hidden gold, I returned to the guest house and immediately began severing all methods of entry to the second floor of the guest house that didn't pass through the lounge. Yes, it's exactly the same. No different from the rest.
Don't tell me. You use that seal of yours on all the windows to the guest house? In that weather, dressed like that?
Well, I did have my swimsuit from when I drifted here.
You're insane! At a house where you were welcomed as a guest. You did something like that in the middle of the rain, even though nothing had happened yet?
For a normal human, it would have been an action so suspicious as to be completely impossible. However, she is the witch's piece.
In the middle of all that rain, Erica sealed all the windows from the outside. Create an alibi showing that no one could have snuck into the guest house from the outside.
I was only
Climbed
joking.
the wall herself and did it to all the windows on the first and second floor. No. All things that possibly could have permitted entry. Though after hearing that she'd listened to the cousin's room all night long, without even sleeping a wink, this new bizarre action didn't seem quite so impossible. This had probably also looked like a venomous spider. A disgusting spider crawling over the outside guest house wall during a storm.
You. Just what do you think of this Shurmia family? Is this how you repay us for welcoming you as a guest?
To be detective, the Ashurmia family is nothing more or less than the stage upon which the crime occurs. Before the outbreak of the crime, it was important for me to memorize the names of the characters, memorize the layout of the land, and prepare for the upcoming crime by devoting my time towards collecting and creating all possible alibis. From my perspective, detectives who don't prepare anything before the outbreak of the crime are pretty third-rate. After all, we all know that someone will die wherever we spend the night.
Furthermore, at the time the crime was discovered, Erica confirmed that none of those seals had been broken. That's why Erica wasn't the first one to reach the cousin room when the corpses were found. Even without inspecting the corpses, she could be certain of several things thanks to the Red Truth. It was more important to check the seals and construct alibis.
My master is perfect. All I did was prove everything perfectly by following my master's orders.
Well done, Erica. My double, my piece. What do you think, Lambda? Doesn't this prove that Erica's outlook in the lounge contains absolute reliability as far as constructing alibis?
So wait, when it shows up as like black text on white, that means that it's been proven without a doubt.
It's just stating, restating the point.
It's either an assertion. It's basically an assertion of some kind.
Yeah, I acknowledge it. Erica, your seal is perfect. I'll acknowledge it in red. It was impossible to reach the second floor of the guest house without passing through the lounge. And impossible to reach it at all without Erica, who was in the lounge, knowing about it.
Thank you very much, Lady Lambda Delta. You know what's coming next, great Lady Beatrice. Therefore, the times of the crime is limited to a single hour between midnight, when they were confirmed to be alive, and 1 a.m. when our party in the lounge started.
Pouty.
Ugh, God. Ugh. Mm.
I've already said it, that at midnight I went down to the lounge. Hit it off with Dr. Nanjo and was engrossed by a discussion of the mystery genre in the library until 1 a.m. It's a bit embarrassing, but I grew up so wrapped up in that discussion that I wouldn't have noticed if anyone had passed through the corridor during that time period. Quite a regrettable mistake for a detective.
You're doing all the maneuvering, setting up seals to guarantee a perfect alibi. She became too engrossed in a mystery discussion and left an opening? Her relaxed smile was completely shameless, the total opposite of her words. It seems like it's the other way around. Enough to make you think this was an intentional trap. Make it clear to all that only Natsui didn't have an alibi between midnight and 1 o'clock.
In other words, it paradoxically means this. The only one who could have reached the cousin's room and committed the crime are those characters who have no alibi between 12 o'clock and 1.
First clearly hinted that Nazi was the only one who fits this description. It should have been a crime whose time and location were completely unknown during that long night. Because of the alibis Erica had constructed, it had been limited to the time period between 12 o'clock and 1. Erica left the cousin's room at midnight. It marks the last confirmation that George and the others were alive. After the party in the lounge started at 1 a.m., it was impossible to reach the cousin room by any method. Damn her, and from a mere human.
This is quite bad. The night has been sealed up into an hour, and at this rate, there won't be many suspect pieces left.
Damn it, Lady Buncastville. Nicely done.
Unlike Battler, I'm not an idiot. After watching this game 5 times, I've got more than enough cards in my hand.
Then let us continue. Examine the alibis of the remaining suspects, the people in the mansion. After all, we only have to worry about the single hour between midnight and 1. That shouldn't be difficult at all. Let's start with midnight. This time, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji are in the second floor corridor, and all the others are in the first floor dining hall. This has already been shown by my master's Red.
Yeah, that's right. At midnight, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji were in the corridor on the second floor of the mansion. The rest of them were in the dining hall on the first floor. And as you know, there was a mysterious knock and a letter with the one-winged seal on it appeared. The discussion surrounding that continued on until 1 a.m. I will say it with the red truth. Of all the people in the dining hall, not one of them left the dining hall until 1 a.m.
Since the possible times for the crime have been limited to between midnight and 1 a.m., the adults in the family conference, who were confirmed not to have left the mansion between midnight and 1 a.m., all had proven alibis.
And how do you intend to prove that? Erica's in the guest house. Did someone prove it by using one of your favorite seals on the dining hall door? You have no convincing evidence or proof? Bah!
The red truth is simply truth, and there is no need to provide evidence, proof, or room for a counter-argument. You made that rule.
This overbearing red truth hadn't only given alibis to the adults in the dining hall, it also gave alibis to Shannon and Cannon, who had come to serve tea. It even guaranteed that they never left the dining hall. In other words, the only ones who didn't have proven alibis were these three: Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji. Now there are only 2 left. If Kraus and Genji had their alibis proven, it
proved that no one but Natsuhi could have been the culprit. Let's do Genji next. He's a victim, but you can't deny the possibility that he committed the crime in the cousin's room and was then killed himself. And furthermore, though he was in the second floor corridor at midnight, he then returned to the servant room to transfer the phone call from Natsuhi, for Natsuhi, and was completely isolated.
Which means it was possible for Genji to commit the...
I'll say it in red. When Genji finished transferring the call, he immediately returned to the servants' quarters. That's just a cold hard truth without any evidence, proof, seals, or alibis. Got it?
Then at 1 a.m., there's another break in the family conference, and Rosa returned to the guest house. At that time, I am truly thankful for your cooperation, Ishimiya Eva-san. Please rise!
Erika-chan wasn't the only one, okay? I was also certain that something would happen that night.
She's the person who taught me how to make those seals. And she helped me to check the alibis of those people under suspicion.
During the break at 1 a.m., I went to Genji-san's waiting room and used the same seal as Erika-chan. In other words, if that wasn't broken, it would mean no one entered or left that room between 1 a.m. and the next morning.
Now, Kennen-san and Kumasawa-san, please rise.
Kennen rose expressionlessly, and Kumasawa got to her feet timidly.
In the morning, you two went to wake Genji-san because he had slept in, right? And at that time you noticed the door was sealed. Broke the seal and opened the door, correct?
Shelly?
Sorry, sorry. Yes. I thought it was some kind of prank.
I didn't think deeply about it at the time.
I'm not asking for your opinions. Let's use the facts. Did you break the seal and enter the room?
Yes.
Both of you.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Okay.
They both. It's double quotations. It means you both said it. Come on.
1,
Yes.
2.
There we go.
Damn it.
With the red truth, I'll guarantee that Ava, Cannon, and Kumasawa's statements just now are the truth. At 1 a.m., Ava sealed Genji's sleeping quarters, and that seal was broken by Cannon and Kumasawa the next morning, when the crime was discovered. This'll be a pain, so I'll add on some more. During the short break at 1 a.m., the first two to leave the dining hall were Rosa and Ava. Until Ava returned, everyone in the dining hall remained there. After seeing Rosa off, Ava went to the sleeping quarters and sealed it. Of course, she did not enter the room at all this time.
It's all information gathered from people involved. Isn't a red truth without a basis? Truth due to proper reasoning, constructed from a testimony. Not only testimony, but the limits of scientific investigation, such as collecting fingerprints, were used here. After all, Kinzo-san studies a treasure vault with all kinds of chemicals. I obtained all sorts of results to create an ultimate truth, infinitely close to a red truth. It isn't a science mystery, so I'll spare you the details.
As Erica swaggered around the cathedral, she arrogantly touted her scientific knowledge. Since she had thorough knowledge of all the chemicals in Kinzo's study and had used them to conduct a scientific investigation, which had now been acknowledged and made into a red truth by Berncastle, Didn't explain the details, but she had obtained results that were convincing even without the red truth. Collecting fingerprints with aluminum powder. Component analysis of the mud under someone's shoe and various chemical reactions from the clinging rainwater. Erica just walked into someone else's study several times, and used several chemicals however she pleased, all without asking the family's permission. However, no one could fault her for this. The pieces couldn't hinder any action the detective might take for the investigation. That's the power of detective's authority.
Sorry, 1 second.
You act like you own the place. From now on, I'll tell everyone I meet. If someone claims to be a detective, never welcome them into your house as a guest.
That's probably a good idea. Giving shelter to a detective is just about the worst omen of misfortune out there.
Because of this, it has been proven that it was only possible to reach Genji's waiting room and commit the crime between midnight and 1 a.m. And furthermore, by Erika's investigation, it's been proven that it was impossible for Genji to reach the cousin's room.
It had already been made clear in red that, after transferring the phone call to Natsuhi, Genji had gone straight back to the waiting room. Because of Erika's scientific investigation, further red had been added saying, Genji never left the mansion after midnight. Because of this, it's been made clear that Genji couldn't have reached the guest house, much less the cousin room. Genji has an alibi.
Now, only Cross and Natsu remain. Everyone else has their alibis proven, haven't they?
Impossible.
Natsui's mouth flapped open and shut, like a suffocating goldfish. And that's an accurate analogy. Natsui's mind was blank and spinning out of control, and she felt as though she would really suffocate.
Ushiromiya Natsuhi, I'll give you one last chance. Confess that all of the crimes were the work of your husband.
Fool! Do I look like the kind of woman who would falsely accuse her husband?
Beato. Natsuhi's denied it. I'll give you the same chance. You understand, right? Or wait, don't tell me. You aren't going to take advantage of the fact that Kraus is missing to try and pull a devil's proof on me, are you?
Beato realized that they were rapidly approaching the end of this battle. Normally, Beato should have been able to argue against these alibis of Erika's in several ways using the blue truth. However, all of those alibis have been accepted by Burncast and Lambda Delta as red truth, and Beato no longer had any room to argue. Like, the switches are distorting things. They match with a plotline Erika's drawn up. Noir. Please.
Noir!
Leonor! Oh no!
He's doing technical issues.
Des.
This.
Right.
You are audible now.
Right. Game Master Lady Lambda Delta accepts.
You are cutting in and out.
You
So
are
my quality is
super
really low.
roboting, dude.
I wouldn't even call it roboting. I would just say that it's like dying.
In the poop dimension.
Beep poop.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's good now. It sounds clear.
That's right. If the Game Master, Lady Lambda Delta, accepts a truth, its authenticity will not be questioned. The world that comes after will be formed based on the final remaining truth. This happens no matter how far this final truth is from the real truth.
There's no way Uncle Kraus is the culprit! He's being held prisoner somewhere. Wait! We get to that possibility that Aunt Ava was skillfully tricked into believing that during the phone call...
On Natsuhi.
Do you suspect Natsuhi and Kraus, Battler-kun?
Well...
Erika's truth has been constructed in a cowardly fashion, but it is a proper truth. Though the witches did conspire with her, it has still been acknowledged as a red truth. In other words, it cannot be a fake truth built solely on lies. This means that even Erika's truth is supported by logic. The truth about Natsuhi and Kraus being culprits is also very possible. Even if it's a mixture of truth and lies, it makes sense logically. It's a mixture of truth and lies, and that is just as valuable as truth is. Which of those two truths will you believe? That is up to you to decide.
No. Well, trust that Natsuhi. And Uncle Kraus. I realize that they're in some money trouble. But even so, I don't want to believe that they're the culprits. No. I can't believe it!
On this game board where the red is steadily cornering Natsuhi, how do you intend to let her escape?
I don't know. However, I seriously don't want to give up. Natsuhi was just caught in a cowardly trap. Erika's reasoning has fallen for the trap completely. Whether it's intentional or she's being manipulated, Erika is aiding the true culprit. Erika has accused that Natsuhi of being the culprit. But even if everyone here believes that, in fact, for that very reason, I want to be the one person who trusts Aunt Natsuhi. Everyone believes it's her. Will that become the truth? Accepts a lie, will that become the truth? Must an honest person be dragged up to the guillotine? All alone and taunted by liars. I don't like it. If no one else will believe in Aunt Natsuhi, then I will! Real truth isn't something that's determined when everyone accepts it. Something you find after thoroughly investigating both possibilities. This trial is a downright lie! This trial exists for no reason other than to send Aunt Natsuhi up as the culprit.
Beato is doing all she can to plead Natsuhi's case, right?
Wrong. Beato's trying to refute Erika's argument. She's just defending. You can't fight in this trial by simply resisting all of your opponent's claims. This is why Beato always cornered me in the past. She isn't gonna beat Erika by finding flaws in her reasoning. She's to find a different truth and show Lambda Delta, the commander of this game. Their truth is more correct than Erika's!
Can anyone create a truth where Natsuhi isn't the culprit? Without violating the red truths that Lady Berncastel has shown?
I don't know. But as long as I don't believe that Natsuhi is the culprit, there's gotta be a different truth! You wouldn't care if the culprit for the crime was a witch. Not having Natsuhi be framed by an incorrect truth.
So no matter how much red truth you are shown, you won't believe that Nazi is the culprit, correct?
Yeah! For all things, there should always be some people who believe and some who don't. No matter how much evidence is stacked up against her, someone has to believe that she's innocent. There be several truths in the world that cannot be proven with evidence. I never want to accept that something's true just because everyone says it is. How can you be sure that there's nothing on the backside of the moon if you've never seen it? There's some reason you have to believe it until you see the back of the moon with your own eyes. You can deny neither the possibility that nothing's there at all, nor the possibility that there's a thriving culture of space bunnies.
Yeah!
You should never assume something is the truth until you've actually checked it. The court is a malicious thing, trying to force a single interpretation on a truth that cannot be checked. I believe that there was a civilization on the backside of the moon. That was in elementary school, and I was made fun of it and laughed at. That was embarrassing to think that a civilization lived above the moon. I threw away that belief. Been told by a book my mom read that rabbits lived on the backside of the moon. I believed that for a long, long time. When everyone said it was wrong, I abandoned that truth without even trying to check it, even without evidence. I abandoned the truth that I believed in. Now everyone's starting to believe that Natsuhi is the culprit. And no decisive evidence has been shown. Even without evidence, Erika's words sound reasonable. So they're probably the truth? Is that why you're throwing away your belief that Natsuhi is innocent, despite a lack of proof? No one else will believe. Then I will. I believe the real truth only appears if you look with both eyes. One denying and one affirming. No matter how much she tries to make us believe that Natsuhi isn't the culprit, I believe she isn't. I won't abandon that belief.
Understood. Then I will give you just a single red truth. I will give this single bit of power to you now that you possess the will to fight in the truest sense.
Power?
By the name of the Finite Witch, Vergilia. No, as the former witch Beatrice, I will grant you this red truth. Ushuramiya Natsuhi is not the culprit.
Huh?
A plea bargain. If you acknowledge that Kraus is the culprit, Erika will suspend her pursuit of Natsuhi. From then on, the investigation will proceed assuming that Kraus, whose location is unknown, is the culprit.
What do you do, Beato? At this rate, Natsuhi's in serious trouble, right? Will you accept the plea bargain? If you're willing to abandon this Ushimiya family honor thing, Byrne will be kind enough to let you off with a draw, okay?
Kraus is currently missing, and it's unknown whether he's alive or dead. Like Kinzo, he's no different than a cat in a box, disappeared into the mists of the island. A cat inside a box is unfixed. No interpretation of it can be denied. It is the root of endless interpretations. True source of the endless witch's power. In other words, no matter how much Bernkastel claims that Kraus is the culprit, you can't make that the sole truth. In other words, the Kraus culprit theory and the witch theory can be in almost perfect balance. I mean, making the game a draw. Bernkastel was tempting her. This was cajolery, offering her a second chance if she abandoned the honor of the family she swore to protect, and consent to a fragment that stomps all over that honor. There's no room for false confidence. For Beato to lose is to die. In this game, she'd always choose a draw unless she has an overwhelming advantage.
I won't allow you to treat my husband like the culprit. My husband is the successor to your Shirimiya family headship. The only person who will inherit the glory of the Shirimiya family. I will never let you treat him like a criminal.
Are you sure, Natsuhi? If you refuse to suspect Kraus, then you will be the only one left. Alibis have been proven for everyone else. In other words, Hempel's Raven. Even without any evidence, it will be determined that you are the culprit.
And if I'm the only one left, what then? I am Shirimiya Natsuhi. I will not run or hide. I am innocent. And I am the representative of the noble head with the one-winged eagle engraved into my heart. If you wish to insult me, go ahead. If you wish to ridicule me, do as you please. No one can damage my honor with a mixture of truth and lies.
The dignified voice, Natsuhi started her case openly, before the witches above her. However, this response of hers might have been exactly what Burncastle had intended.
Natsuhi refuses the deal. And you, Beato? You understand, right? The instant Natsuhi is specified as the culprit, Lambda will make her verdict. As soon as that happens, the illusion of the witch will be denied and you'll disappear into the mist. Do you plan to let Natsuhi's foolish bragging drag you down to the depths of hell?
Raish, you fought well. This is our chance. Convince Natsuhi and try to work out a compromise.
Both Lady Lambda Delta and Lady Burncastle have is that boredom? Okay, that's boredom. Sorry, the white on the floor fucked me up. Both Lady Lambda Delta and Lady Burncastle have boredom. Not you, as the true enemy. They probably want to have this game repeat and play some more. If they see that you're willing to make a concession, they will most likely accept it gladly and move on to the next game.
If we move on to the next game, then what will happen to the Natsuhi of this game? The Natsuhi of this fragment.
Now isn't none to be worrying about that, right? Natsuhi is just a piece. If he gets removed from this game, she'll show up again in the next one.
But that doesn't apply to you, milady. I believe you know what Lady Burncastle plans for this game. It's a more realistic goal to make use of that and aim for a victory in the next game instead. Except the Lady Burncastle's deal might not be our one and only good option right now.
Throw away that useless pride of yours! Neither Kasparov nor Deep Blue won every game. The person that wins more games wins in the end, right? If a witch gets too attached to a single match, a single life, a single piece, that witch dies.
My apologies. But I cannot do that. I know the strength of a man who believed even though everyone said he was wrong. And I know the suffering he went through when he was forced to abandon that belief. I will not abandon Natsuhi. Why? Because if everyone else suspects Natsuhi, then someone has to believe in her. Because truth can only be found in the gap between those who doubt and those who believe. I won't abandon her. Even if everyone else believes that Natsuhi's the culprit, I will still claim that I, the witch, am the culprit. If I can't even make that my claim, my existence isn't worth anything. I cannot lose. The truth isn't something anyone gets to deny. Only when you doubt and abandon it yourself does it disappear!
Is that your answer, Beato?
Yeah, of course I refuse! Ushiromia Kraus is not the culprit!
That last one seems pretty hard to disprove.
Oh, man. Fool. I won't let you take that back, okay? Here's what you get for being a quick-tempered moron. By the name of Bernkastel, Witch of Miracles, I speak with the red truth. Ushiromia Kraus is not the culprit. And he was killed long ago. Shortly after you heard his voice over the phone, in fact.
No. No. Dear.
Bernkastel's cruel and ruthless red blade gouged Natsuhi. It was totally merciless. Natsui had been crushed with uncertainty, not knowing whether Kraus was alive or dead, but she had still been capable of believing that he was alive. Now, that hope, that expectation, had been crushed, without any chance for a miracle. She had thrown herself into this trap out of concern for her husband's safety. She had now lost her daughter and husband, and everything she had gained since marrying into the Ashurmia family. No. Even after all this, one thing still remains. Her husband has been lost. And right now, he is the last person who can protect the honor of the Ashurmia family. She still couldn't let it end here. Even wrapped up in so much sadness, Natsuhi would do all she could to protect that honor, with this final bit of strength.
Nope, it's all over. It's been determined with the red truth that none of the remaining people in the dining hall left that room until 1 a.m. In other words, alibis have already been proven for everyone except Natsuhi.
Shit.
I love Patchwork Chimera.
Game over.
I mean, it's not.
No. It can't be game over!
I mean, they straight up said that she wasn't the culprit.
Well done, Erica and Bernkastel. You've fully proven that the crime was impossible for everyone except Ushiromia and Natsuhi. Why don't I start reading out loud from the verdict? At midnight on October 4th, 1986, the defendant Ushiromia Natsuhi left before the others while pretending to return to her room to sleep, and murdered George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, and Genji one after another during the 1 hour period before 1 a.m.
Let me tack something on. Due to circumstantial evidence, include the murder of Kraus.
Yeah, that's right. In this situation, it's unthinkable that anyone except Natsuhi could have killed Kraus. a revision to the verdict. During the hour before 1 a.m., Cross, George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, and Genji were killed one after another. It's only possible for these murders to have taken place between midnight and 1 a.m. The only person without an alibi during this time was Ushirimiya Natsuhi. From this point forward, the defendant will be treated as the true culprit. Furthermore, because it's been fully proven that the crime was possible for humans, Beatrice, Endless Witch, this Court of Illusions hereby denies your existence. You'll be given a chance to plead your case, but can you prove an alibi for Natsuhi? Or can you prove it was possible for someone other than Natsuhi? If you can do that, Natsuhi will stop being one shade short of absolutely guilty. And the denial of your existence will be put on hold for this game.
If Natsuhi had an alibi, Beata would have shown it long ago. In fact, wasn't the whole point of that trap to make her lose her alibi?
Even if her alibi is not proven, I will believe in Natsuhi's innocence. No matter how much you try to pin your fake truth on her. I am the true culprit! Natsuhi is innocent! Even without any proof!
The truth is only known by the master of the night on this island, Beatrice the Golden. I am Shirimiya Natsuhi. Now that my husband has passed away, I am the head of the Shirimiya family. My determination will not bend, no matter how you try and humiliate me. Why, you ask? It is because Father gave me permission to engrave the family crest of the one-winged eagle into my heart. How do you intend to disprove the existence of dishonor with your evidence and your alibis? You cannot! The Ushirimiya family crest engraved into my heart is immortal.
Now that Natsuhi and Beatrice had practically been placed in the guillotine, they cried out with all the strength of their determination. However, they did nothing but bring a cold smile to Lambda Delta's face. Erica had constructed a truth that Lambda Delta could accept, and no one could construct a more convincing truth to deny Erica's. In that case, the most convincing truth would swallow up everything else, and become the one and only truth. Even if it happened to be different from the real truth. The truth of those in the past and then is swallowed up by the truth of those in the future. This can happen even for a mixture of truth and lies. As long as everyone acknowledges it, it is true. History is written by the victor.
Sheesh, stop howling already. I like it best when witches sob and beg for their lives when they're about to be burned at the stake. When they try and bluff like you do is such a killjoy. In that case, I'll send you one final gift. A red true to smash that bluff wide open.
What do you mean?
Stop it, Lady Byrne Castell. Hasn't it already been overwritten with the truth you wished for? That truth and Natsuhi should be able to coexist. Please don't defile it. Please.
Natsuhi. When did Kinzo ever say it was okay for you to engrave the one-winged eagle into your heart? Those were just the words of the Kinzo from your delusions. The real Kinzo? Throughout his entire life, not once did he ever trust you from the bottom of his heart. And not once did he ever consider letting you bear the family crest.
Hold on a second. When the heartless announcement was made, Kinzo stood up.
Natsui, you need not listen to this. No one can defile the crest engraved in your heart. It's yours alone. So let your pride as the final family head be forgotten forever. Natsui!
Just shut up and disappear. You miserable delusion of Natsuhi's.
You cannot erase me! You cannot erase my soul! Not as long as the crest is engraved in Natsuhi's heart!
That's enough, you lying illusion. The real Kinzo would never say such a thing. Be gone! You fantasy of Kinzo inside Natsuhi's mind, beautified by her to suit her own purposes.
Not free!
Bright red flash of lightning smashed Kinzo over and over as he screamed. And he crumpled like a doll and sat back down in his chair as though nothing had happened. The fierce emotion had left Kinzo's face. He had truly become like a wax model. And so, he would never again share kind words with Natsuhi. That's right. The true Kinzo never once trusted Natsuhi during his entire life. True Kinzo never once considered allowing Natsuhi to bear the one-winged eagle. Because of course, Kinzo had already vanished before the start of the game. The Kinzo that appears in this game is nothing more than Natsuhi's delusion. Every part of this Kinzo, who believed in Natsuhi and entrusted her with protecting the family honor, was a phantom created by Natsuhi.
Pitiful woman. Now is the time for you to face the truth that you never gained Utsunomiya Shinzo's trust as long as you lived.
Natsuhi, don't cry. Kinzo entrusted the Utsunomiya family to you, right?
No, he didn't. Not only did he not entrust her with that, he never even said hello, or met her gaze even once. And that's where we're going to end it. For now.
Alright, that sounds like a good
Hey man, I'm sorry.
I'll be real, like, I was kind of waiting for I kind of figured that this was gonna happen. Or, like, something would just crush her delusion.
Trying to be a stage director is hard, Orange.
Yeah, sure is. We were trying to find a good time to end it, and then B told me a different part was coming up, but we didn't think we'd make it there fast enough, so we redirected it to the Natsuhi scream.
The Natsuhi scream. I think at first we wanted to maybe go to the when Vergelia dropped that red truth, but like, what was it like?
It was like 20 minutes ago.
It was like 20 minutes ago.
So is that what you were talking about in your spoiler discussion yesterday? Like, where you were gonna end this?
A little bit, yeah.
Or not yesterday, but 2 days ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say, like, a part of me kind of wants to say that this is kind of less sad I found like the idea of Natsui deluding herself into thinking this like asshole man that seems to have very little respect for anyone, like genuinely cared about her. That seemed more sad to me.
Would you rather have her been believing a lie?
That would have been what would have happened. Like, no, like I think that the lie going away is better.
Yeah, in general, I find if people are living delusions, unless they are entirely not hurting anyone else, I think it's better to just face reality.
I think also this idea of him like giving her the go-ahead to be the next successor was also kind of making her a worse person.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But at that time, she was kind of in a weird, awkward situation because her husband did horrible things with financial reasons, like the moon.
And NFTs.
That too.
I mean, all things considered, I think Natsuhi using, Kinzo trying to, like, praise and Beatrice trying to help her as a sort of coping mechanism for the fact that she is basically in a nightmare situation.
Yep.
I think that that in itself is pretty warranted.
I think it's warranted. I don't think it's healthy.
I mean, yeah,
True.
it's obviously not healthy, but it still sucks for her.
Oh, either way,
none of these people are healthy mentally. Like, almost none of them.
I feel like Jessica is probably...
Yeah, Jessica has her head on her shoulders, but everyone else?
Maybe George.
Maybe.
The kids seem weirdly okay, despite being raised by these freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ow! Wow!
Con, these parents are freaks.
Mr. 23 dating 16 sure is A-okay right now.
You know what? Fair enough. But, Rudolph seems fine to an extent. Maybe I forgot something.
Like...
Sorry, I just want to go ahead.
I get that it's weird that this woman is holding on to this pretty much delusion as her.
I think it makes sense. I think it makes complete sense.
Well, okay, it's not that it makes sense or not. It's just that this woman holding on to this like one last like bastion of hope, even if it is a delusion. You have
That's
to
what I'm
have
talking
some
about.
sympathy for her.
Yeah, but I also think that this would be, now, like a part of me would say, well, now that she can become a better person, but it's like, well, I mean, the timeline's probably going to get reset, so it's like, so there's no winning here.
But isn't the implication here that if Kinzo was a delusion the whole time, Natsuhi actually did, in this timeline, murder her family?
We got a red saying that it wasn't the
There's
case.
a red that says that Natsuhi isn't actually the culprit of this case.
Yeah.
It's just that Erika is constructing an argument in such a way that Natsuhi
It breaks the red truth.
Yeah, she'd be a horrible lawyer for
Go.
Sorry if I'm interrupting.
Go.
Okay. What I was saying was mostly on the last bastion of at least some hope. Just for Berncastel to just break it out and pull the rug out from underneath her just so she loses everything, even then. That hurt.
Yeah, that's a kind of a dick move, especially what she was trying to get her point across.
You can argue that the other delusions needed to be caught, but that one last piece. Be honest and say that she didn't even deserve that.
I mean, I don't think she deserved it like that. I don't think she
deserved any of it.
Yeah, I don't think that Natsui deserved any of this at all.
She's just literally trying to be a good housewife, and then people keep dunking on her.
Oh, she's actually
her husband's an idiot.
Pretty bad housewife, to be honest.
She's trying her best.
Yeah, I could see people being in this type of situation where they're trying to survive horrible situations, but having delusions just keeping them going.
Caught up in a kangaroo court with no way to get out thanks to a dumb plea bargain.
And a horrible prosecutor who's obviously have thing against her.
what is the goal of these prosecutors? Just to prove that they're smart? Like, I
Yes.
don't get that part.
We have real world situations of this, so
I
I'm
don't
just
think
gonna say
that's-
that.
No, I'm talking about the story. I'm not
They've
talking
made
about
it
like
expressly
reality.
clear that the intent of this court is to, one, at least in Erika's circumstance, prove that Natsuki is the culprit, regardless of whether or not that's true, and she's using evidence to establish this. But at least for, I guess, Burn and like their kind of goal at large, they want to prove that, simply put, the illusion of the witch does not exist. That Beatrice isn't real.
And that means putting Natsuki up as a scapegoat, at least
Yep.
by Erika's logic.
If Beatrice is not a witch, someone must be responsible.
But I thought you couldn't deny someone being a witch without denying every single witch. Wasn't that what Beatrice was trying to do in that chapter until it was like, whoops, that's actually not real?
I think you might be confusing that with what is it? The term devil's proof. It's like if you can't show me a devil, then something it doesn't. Then you can't say that devils don't exist.
The point. Oh, sorry, guys.
More of the point.
No, but I thought. Oh,
essentially,
sorry.
What we've been fighting for this entire, at least what Battler had been fighting for originally, and what we're fighting now, is the idea that because everything could have been done by humans, then that means that a witch likely can't exist. They are fighting against the illusion that everything that's been happening up to this point is magic.
Yeah, but Battler's also trying to fight for Beatrice in the top world. He's trying to keep her from like dying.
I think it's less that and more so he's trying to figure out what she wanted from him.
Yeah.
I think he's still fighting for his own interest. It just happens to have a mutual benefit for Beatrice.
Also, the idea that there's multiple levels of meta universes is actually like really interesting.
I think it's still just is it multiple levels of meta, or is it just still the two? Or one?
Yeah, because there's a Beatrice that's like comatose in the Golden Land, and then there's a Beatrice in the metaverse that's here.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to speak to the court of reasoning. Should I elaborate on this?
Please do.
No, I think he's not talking to you.
We're not the court of reason.
What is the question actually? Before
Should I elaborate on
question before the court?
Should I elaborate on the depth of the metaverse or the meta world? Metaverse is a different term.
That'd be great.
No, he's asking the people that actually know.
Okay, my bad.
You know what? I'm on the side of no.
I'm also on the side of no.
Well, you're not in the court.
He is also on the side.
Dude, Vaughn, you're with me in the peanut gallery.
Yeah, but Khan, I want to figure it out on my own, and I would say it's probably better to be on the conservative end on this. But that's just from me as someone who has less power.
So wait, but is the concept of how many levels of meta worlds there are not already been said in the chapter?
I don't think so.
This can be learned on your own, so I will not be elaborating on it.
Alright, so, something else I kind of thought. I guess we can make this the discussion part.
You already started. We didn't, I couldn't even say we had 5 minutes to think, so just go.
Yeah,
man.
Time's over.
We got 10
so,
minutes left.
I had a thought. The person on the phone is probably actually, like, I'm wondering if there's gonna be a part where it's like Battler, now armed with the confidence gained from Virgilia's Red Truth, if he's going to say somehow that the person that was on the phone, like, he might press Natsui for where she was and why she was in that location, which might lead to Battler finding out about the man on the phone. And so I'm wondering if somehow that will lead to that culprit being the alibi Natsui needs. Does that make sense? I'm wondering if the murderer will later be the alibi.
Has happened before.
I think there will be a last-minute interference.
Yep, like a Phoenix Wright case, probably.
This feels more like a supernatural Perry Mason case, actually. Anybody here know about Perry Mason?
Yes, I do. My mom watches it all the time.
Boom, there's one.
Hey, my mom likes Agatha Christie.
There was also another thought. Why did Beatrice want to fight Battler on even ground? There's two thoughts I have off the top of my head. She was trying to fulfill that obligation to Lambda, or her own reasoning, which might have to do with wanting Battler to figure out whatever that mysterious deed from years ago was.
I thought that was just both.
Maybe it was both. Trying to see what else I got. Have they given a reason why? So is the reason why they aren't bringing up the mysterious phone man because Natsui feels like that will end up with Kraus being accused?
Or killed in her mind.
Is that the reason why she's not talking about how she hid in the closet and saw the murder? Well, kind of saw the
not
murder.
the culprit. That has been stated in red.
Yeah, wait. Was that stated to Natsui?
Just now.
Alright, so why is she not bringing up how her hiding in the wardrobe and seeing a mysterious man? Well, not seeing a mysterious man, but, hearing the murder go on.
She is being driven into a corner right now.
Yeah, it seems like the perfect thing to bring up.
When you're driven in a corner, the furthest thing from your mind is actually logic and reasoning.
Especially if you're being hounded by a person saying, "You're guilty! You should go to jail!"
I feel like...
Okay, so hold on. I'm not going to elaborate, but if I may, consider who Natsuhi is as a person, and why she wouldn't bring this up.
She kind of mentioned that the reason why she wouldn't was because she didn't want Kraus to be accused. That was, the reasoning she gave, I thought.
No, she thought that Kraus was gonna die, because if she revealed the information of who that guy is, or person, she will lose him.
And we
Also, if this guy is... sorry, Khan, you go first.
And we only just now got confirmation that Kraus was already dead.
Yeah, so why not bring this up?
And also, if in fact this person is actually her son, then she has to admit that she either had a son out of wedlock or admit that her and Kraus abandoned their child.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, was that the reasoning that... Okay, yeah, I kind of forgot the backstory of the child.
That's my backstory. I don't know if that's actually true. That's my reason.
So the concept is that they adopted a child because, inheritance and so forth.
Okay, hold on. I'm being told I can correct this one.
Okay.
The background information that's been given to us about the child up to this point is that essentially, at one day, for seemingly no reason, Kinzo handed Natsuhi a baby. She was so taken aback by this, because at that point, her and Kraus hadn't been able to have a kid, she gave it off to a random servant to take care of it. At this point, the servant went off on, a forest passage out towards a cliff, and the fencing, which was faulty, broke, and her and the baby fell and presumably died.
Yep, that's what that part of the story happened.
Alright, so I guess it could be
that makes a lot more sense.
But I don't know. So I feel like in a situation like this, it would be time to just talk. So it's okay, being accused of murder is worse than negligence.
That would be what you would think. You'd need to think about it from Natsuhi's perspective.
I would have figured that even she would probably think that, okay, now it's time to mention stuff, but...
She's too prideful. The term is pride. She has too much pride in herself.
There's no, but in, both situations, there's nothing to be prideful about. She's either accused... she's either accused of murder or negligence.
Which one she would rather accept?
I feel like still negligence.
No, she would rather accept murder than
really murder is.
No, you don't know people who get into certain situations that rather accept being a murderer than saying, "Oh, I kind of did this other thing that I'm more shameful about."
I guess so.
You don't realize that's a thing, right, Bone? That a lot of people would do that just for that reason.
I don't know if Natsui would.
She would.
She kind of just seems like a lady. Just kind of an asshole lady. She doesn't seem like a nut job.
Yeah, I don't really buy the idea that someone would actually take
being accused of murder over doing something stupid. I don't believe that.
Like, at worst, she just kind of looks like an asshole for not wanting to adopt a kid, and also gets, accused of being barren, I guess.
That's a shame that she doesn't want to accept.
Preservation of pride, that's it, isn't it?
There's no preservation of pride in either situation.
Bone! Literally, that's what the whole concept of her backstory is, that she is trying to defend herself from basically saying, I'm a worthless person.
Allow me to explain. If you'll recall, during my retelling of the events of the child stuff, remember, Natsuhi wasn't able to... at that point, Kraus and Natsuhi were having trouble having children. So can you imagine how it must feel when the head of your household simply says, take this baby, raise it as your own?
Yeah.
Insulted. Shame.
And with the complete undercurrent of, take this baby because you have failed me.
You failure. You suck. That type of mental mentality can basically drive people to go,
Okay,
oh
so
yeah.
I guess it's like not the acceptance of Kinzo not liking her. Okay, that I can understand more. Alright, so my other thought, if you guys want to change the thoughts, if you guys would like me to go to my next thought.
Shoot for the moon.
Alright, I feel like Bieto being so dedicated to saving Natsui is less for Natsui and more for a personal reason. I don't actually know if she feels any real empathy towards Natsui.
It's interesting because this version of Bieto is not the one who also went and helped out George during the last arc.
That seems like an act.
Yeah, but she wasn't the same one who did that, regardless if it was an act or not. So it seems like she is always fated to help humans after discovering that you can't just murder people just because you can bring them back.
I don't know. I feel like this is more of a creed thing than any sort of empathy.
Creed?
If it's a creed thing, does that mean it can take you higher?
Boo!
I don't know how about that.
I think what Bone's trying to say is she's just doing it for caution and the fact that she's trying to help her in the sense that she's also in the situation that she's gonna die if she doesn't defend her.
That's not what I meant. What was the thing she said? She said something after, like, I will not give up on Natsui because something. I forget what it was. It seems like it's like she will view herself as a failure if she doesn't help Natsui, but it does not feel like she is trying to help Natsui because she feels anything towards her. It seems like still a personal interest thing. Basically just saying, I'm still not sure if this has shown any particular empathy with Bieto.
It could be just sadness.
To me, it felt like she was channeling Battler at that moment.
Alright, those are my thoughts.
Well, I've basically been giving my thoughts as you guys have been giving your thoughts, so I'm kind of...
Oh, I found another thing I wrote. Sorry.
I need to do some chores, so I will see you guys next time.
Yeah, I found another thing I wrote, though. But yeah, good night, Shelly.
Good night, everyone.
Night, Shelly.
So, it seems like Erica has total knowledge of this metaverse thing, even whenever she's a piece. And it seems now, correct me if I'm wrong, but did she interfere with those windows before she met with the family?
Yeah, that was confirmed.
Okay, so that would be before she met the family.
Not before she met the family.
Okay, so that
after.
Oh, it was after?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Sorry. Yeah, it was after.
Alright, well, regardless, it seems like we've now, in order to try to solve these mysteries, need to take into consideration that there is this rogue element that can, interfere with things according to how she thinks things will go.
Rogue element?
She is a kind of like, if you were to replace the chess piece analogy with cards, I would call her a joker. She can, because she, even as a piece, knows about the metaverse. Whereas, like, something like Peace Battler is like, what are you talking about? What is this nonsense you're saying?
Yeah, she's also got a photographic memory capable of sealing every window, and apparently she's a fucking Mary!
A Mary?
Mary Sue.
Is she a Mary Sue?
She is Burncastle's Mary Sue.
Alright.
She's very much a self-insert.
So, that was just something I kind of figured should be taken into consideration. That she will interfere with the environment as she predicts the future. Or not like mystically predicts the future, but just assumes the future.
Or gain the system of this mystery by saying, I can solve everything by basically bullshitting my way into it without destroying the logic of the laws of the universe.
Pisses me off.
Yeah, that's the reason why no one likes her. She's literally that Mary Sue character. You go like, god damn it, she's too stupidly perfect. Why the writer made her?
I don't think that's why
she's the best.
I don't think that people hate her because she's a Mary Sue. I think people hate her because she's an asshole.
She's an asshole, Mary Sue.
Well, it's a combination of all factors of her being a completely horrible person.
Thank you!
Mm-hmm.
If you like her, more power to you. I think she's a rotten strawberry shortcake.
I love her because she's an asshole. It's like how like how Rose is one of my favorite characters, despite the fact that she's a horrible person.
I like her more than Kyoko.
She is either you love to hate her or you hate to love her.
So those are my thoughts.
Alright, cool. Well, it's 12:04. Good discussion, everybody. We are going to call it here.
Okay.
I'm not actually. So, we might actually be finishing this episode by the end of next weekend. That's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Does that also include the tea party segments, or just this chapter? Wow.
You think so?
Yeah. Good.
Alright.
Alrighty then. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Arrivederci.